Hello, Skip Sharp here, W9REL, Wisconsin Aries Races, Assistant Section Emergency Coordinator for Training. First of all, thank you. Thank you for spending some of your valuable time to watch this training bulletin. On Saturday, October 5th, from 9 a.m. until noon, Wisconsin Aries Races will conduct its annual simulated emergency test. This training bulletin will focus on the statewide SET 2019. Some counties will conduct their SET on days other than October 5th. Even so, I hope as many counties as is possible will participate in the statewide exercise. Over the next approximately half hour, we'll explore the details of the SET scenario and how the exercise will be conducted. Let's light this candle.
Next July, from Monday the 13th through Thursday the 16th, Milwaukee, having beaten out both Miami and Houston, will become the center of the political universe as the Democratic National Convention comes to town. Between presidential nomination hopefuls and their staffs, delegates, delegations from the 50 states and 5 U.S. territories, media representatives from around the world and their support staffs, lobbyists, and others with business at the convention, over 50,000 people are expected in southeast Wisconsin for the extravaganza. To put that into perspective, that number amounts to over 8% of the entire population of Milwaukee. The 730,000 square foot Fiserv Forum, seating over 17,500 people, will be the vortex of the convention. That said, the impact of the convention overall will have effects widespread. Wisconsin, as far west as Madison, as far north as Sheboygan, and south into northern Illinois, will be directly affected by the convention. In an area this big, affecting this many people, there's a wide range of hazards and threats to consider, including excessive heat, severe weather, cyber attack, increased crime, and potentially, God forbid, a terrorist incident. So what's the Wisconsin Aries Races real-world mission during the convention? In a word, preparedness. Not necessarily crouched in the starting blocks waiting for the starting gun, but certainly at a higher than usual level of readiness, just in case. Ready to back up our served agencies, such as Wisconsin Emergency Management, the Wisconsin National Guard, Army and Air Force Mars, our other OXCOM partners, the Salvation Army Saturn program, and the Red Cross. Will we be needed, real world? I hope not, but just in case. Hence, this year's Wisconsin Aries Races Simulated Emergency Test. If you're new to Aries and Races and Emergency Communications, or EMCOM for short, you may be asking yourself, what is a simulated emergency test? If you're an old hand at this, you now have a couple of minutes to get a fresh coffee. 2 minutes, though. Don't forget to come back.
The annual Simulated Emergency Test, SET, is a training exercise involving the Amateur Radio Emergency Service, ARES, and the National Traffic System, NTS, a message handling service of amateur radio. The American Radio Relay League is a prime mover in this event, which is organized somewhat like a contest. Its primary purposes are to evaluate strengths and weaknesses in emergency preparedness and communications, and to demonstrate amateur radio to the public. During the first full weekend of October of every year in the United States, a nationwide radio communications network is set up that links every major city and most of the geography of the country. This technological infrastructure is set up from scratch within a few hours at locations that vary from state and local government emergency operations centers to isolated areas without utilities of any kind. Every mode of radio communications is utilized, including analog, digital, voice, data, simplex, duplex, satellites, and even automated relay stations launched on aircraft and with weather balloons. For no more than 48 continuous hours, this nationwide radio communications network is exercised with the primary objective of proving the system's readiness and capabilities. Then, as quickly as it was set up, the system is dismantled and stored in preparation for when it is needed. The system has demonstrated its value time after time during earthquakes, hurricanes, forest fires, terrorist attacks, and other disasters. All of this capability is provided by volunteers who continuously hone their technical skills and acquire, build, and maintain their own equipment. These radio engineers and operators, along with their equipment, combine into an important resource for emergency communications.
I hope all the old hands are back, because now we're getting down to business. First item on the agenda is safety. The safety of all exercise participants is of the utmost importance. Exercise-related injuries are definitely not authorized. Do not work above the ground unless you're well trained and equipped to do so. Exercise caution around overhead electrical wires. Install and exercise extreme caution around generators and electrical cords. Stay well hydrated and watch others for signs of illness or fatigue. Remember, dehydration is a problem in cold weather as well as warm. If an actual emergency occurs during the SET, the exercise will be terminated. Follow all FCC rules. Use tactical call signs to begin an exchange, then use FCC call signs at the end of an exchange. All exercise transmissions and messages must include the words, "This is an exercise." All frequencies, bands, and modes are in play, except as noted in the exercise ICS 205. We'll use WinLink for message traffic. WinLink is the accepted digital data mode of choice for formal message traffic. It's easy to use and far more efficient than sending messages by voice. If, during the exercise, your area has a simulated loss of power, please switch to backup power. If your area has a simulated loss of internet, please find a workaround. Another SET objective is to demonstrate the ability of Wisconsin Aries Races to generate its infrastructure. For instance, can local Aries Races groups alert and communicate with their membership, and communicate with each other and district leadership? While repeaters are in play, simplex VHF, UHF, or HF are preferred. Do not, however, use the WECOM network. The Wisconsin Aries Races net is open for sending traffic to the state EOC. We want to test the ability of district leadership to communicate with other district leaders, the State Emergency Operations Center, or SEOC, and state leadership using the Wisconsin Aries Races HF net as the primary network for sending traffic. However, WECOM is available as the backup. We want to activate as many county EOCs as possible, and then send message traffic from county EOCs to the SEOC, and test the ability of state leadership to communicate among themselves, the SEOC, DECs, and local groups. For instance, can local groups communicate with key county emergency management officials? Can they communicate with their served agency partners at the local level? Can district emergency coordinators communicate with the State Emergency Operations Center via the Wisconsin Aries Races HFNet? Can DECs communicate with key Wisconsin emergency management staff like WEM regional directors? And can state staff communicate with state-level served agency leadership? Can Wisconsin Aries Races units communicate with OXCOM partners? What is OXCOM? OXCOM is a 16-hour emergency communications course developed by the Department of Homeland Security Office of Emergency Communications. It focuses on radio communications and provides a broad knowledge of the fundamental principles of communications systems used to support public safety. And OXCOM aligns with both the Incident Command System and the National Incident Management System. So, can Wisconsin Aries Races leaders communicate with Army and Air Force Mars, Civil Air Patrol, Salvation Army Saturn, and others? What circuits do Wisconsin Aries Races communicators use to coordinate with OXCOM partners? Is it through face-to-face contact at EOCs? Is it over the air? If over the air, what frequencies are used? All 5 60-meter channels are available for the SET. Finally, don't forget to have some fun. Don't be afraid to explore new bands and new modes. And by all means, don't forget dinner. The SET is an important exercise, but it's only an exercise. Ham radio is, after all, a hobby to be enjoyed. And always remember, happy wife? Well, you know how that one goes. SET 2019 simulates a day during the Democratic National Convention. This is an exercise. To set the stage, it's July 14th, 2020, the second day of the convention. A heat wave has been building for several days. Excessive heat is dangerous for everyone, especially the very young and the old. 3 days ago, on July 11th, the National Weather Service in Milwaukee issued a heat advisory. A heat advisory is issued when the daytime heat index reaches values between 100 and 104 degrees. Additionally, a heat advisory will be issued if the heat indices will be between 95 and 99 degrees for 4 consecutive days at least. Yesterday, the opening day of the convention, the Weather Service issued an excessive heat warning, with heat indices expected to reach 108 to 110 degrees. The heat wave is expected to last for up to a week. An excessive heat warning is issued when the daytime heat index is 105 degrees or higher during the day and 75 degrees or higher at night for at least 48 hours. Remember, if heat index values reach 105 degrees or more, sunstroke, heat cramps, or heat exhaustion are likely with prolonged sun exposure and/or physical activity. With the unrelenting heat and no rain, EMS calls for everything from heat cramps to heat stroke have been on the increase across southern and central Wisconsin. The largest number of calls have been in Milwaukee County. The increased load on the electrical grid has led to rolling brownouts, and in some cases electric outages, sometimes lasting for hours. Jill Green, a 25-year-old first-time mother, and her 6-month-old daughter Julia pulled into the parking lot of a neighborhood grocery store. Jill needed ingredients for Jell-O, Julia's favorite. Although the car was very low on gasoline, Jill left it running with the air conditioning on. Leaving Julia in the car, she dashed into the grocery store. It took only a few minutes to gather up what she needed, but there were lines at both checkout counters. She had to wait. The first sign of trouble came when a police car stormed into the parking lot. In her gut, Jill knew this was bad. Abandoning her shopping cart, she ran outside to see a police officer break a side window in her car. He grabbed little Julia out of her car seat and began the rhythmic compressions of CPR. Within moments, 2 more squad cars, a fire engine, and a paramedic ambulance arrived. A paramedic scooped Julia into her arms and ran to the ambulance, which bolted away to a hospital only a few blocks away. Too late. Julia died en route. In Racine, neighbors found 80-year-old Jose Castro dead in his living room easy chair. Electricity in Mr. Castro's neighborhood had been out for hours. With the actual temperature hovering above 95 degrees, the heat index was near 120 degrees. The temperature inside the house was well over 100 degrees. High temperatures for prolonged periods can have serious, even fatal effects. The first effects of heat overexposure relate to how one feels and can cause health problems that may affect performance. As the heat burden increases, people may feel increased irritability and loss of concentration, and the loss of ability to do mental tasks. One of the first signs of heat overexposure is heat cramps. These are sharp pains in the muscles that may occur alone or be combined with other heat stress disorders. Unless corrected, heat cramps can lead to heat exhaustion caused by loss of body water and salt through excessive sweating. Signs and symptoms of heat exhaustion include heavy sweating, weakness, dizziness, and muscle cramps. The most serious heat disorder is heat stroke. Signs of heat stroke include body temperatures often greater than 105 degrees and complete or partial loss of consciousness. The victim may or may not be sweaty. Heat stroke requires immediate first aid and medical attention. Left untreated, heat stroke may be deadly. Here are some tips to help beat the heat. Reduce outdoor activity. Exposure to the sun, especially during the hottest parts of the day. Dress for the summer heat. Wear lightweight and light-colored clothing. Prolonged sun exposure makes it harder for your skin to cool you off. And drink plenty of water. Increased water loss through sweating can cause chemical imbalances in the body. And spend time indoors. If air conditioning is not available, stay on the lowest level and out of the sunshine. You can also go to a public building where air conditioning is available. In many cases, municipalities will set up cooling centers. This is an exercise. TV and radio stations throughout southeast Wisconsin have started broadcasting public service announcements warning people about the heat and how to avoid heat-related illnesses. The Red Cross has opened cooling centers across southeast Wisconsin. In Milwaukee, some areas of the Fiserv Forum building have also been opened as a cooling center. A cooling center is an air-conditioned building where people can temporarily gather to get out of the heat and get some water to drink. A cooling center is not a shelter, meaning that there are no meals or overnight shelter accommodations. Often, cooling centers are opened in public buildings, such as libraries, schools, and recreational facilities. Sometimes private buildings like theaters and shopping malls will host cooling centers. In addition, some communities will open their public pools and spray places where misters can give people relief from the heat. Red Cross officials have asked the Milwaukee County Aries Races Emergency Coordinator for communicators to assist in their radio room and at key cooling centers. Demand for communicators has outstripped the number available. This is an exercise. In addition to the extreme heat in southeast Wisconsin, a low-pressure cell developed over Manitoba, Canada, and North Dakota. This area of low pressure has moved east into Minnesota. An intensifying cold front leads the low pressure, and severe thunderstorms have been reported in north central and eastern Minnesota. This cold front appears headed for northern Wisconsin today. At 1600 hours yesterday, 13 July, the first day of the convention, the National Weather Service office in Duluth, Minnesota, issued a severe thunderstorm watch for counties in northwest and north central Wisconsin. Storm spotters are asked to be on the alert for developing storms. A severe thunderstorm watch is issued when severe thunderstorms are possible in and near the watch area. It does not mean that they will occur. It only means they're possible. Severe thunderstorms are defined as storms with winds of 58 miles an hour or higher or hail 1 inch in diameter or larger. At 0900 hours today, 14 July, the second day of the convention, the Duluth Weather Service office issued a severe thunderstorm warning and a tornado watch for northwest and north central Wisconsin, including Ashland, Barron, Bayfield, Chippewa, Douglas, Dunn, Iron, Polk, Price, Rusk, Sawyer, and St. Croix counties. A severe thunderstorm warning is issued when thunderstorms producing dangerously high winds and large hail are in the area. Significant damage is possible from a severe thunderstorm. A tornado watch is issued when tornadoes are possible but not imminent. Public safety communications are severely degraded in Sawyer County, and witnesses say the county's primary radio tower was severely damaged by extremely high winds and a possible tornado. Storm spotters and the public have reported strong thunderstorms with frequent lightning. Some reports have reported hail up to golf ball size. This is an exercise. The State Emergency Operations Center, already open because of the convention, rapidly shifts focus to the Wisconsin Emergency Management Northwest and West Central regions. WEM regional coordinators begin surveying damage and assessing needs. County emergency managers likewise survey their counties and send preliminary reports to the regional director and the SEOC. In the southeast, northwest, and west central districts, Aries Races groups are activating. A few are beginning to deploy as requested by county emergency managers. State-level Aries and Races leaders have checked in on the Wisconsin Aries Races HFNet and on the WECOM network to pass traffic to and from district leaders. Here's how the SCT traffic should flow. The flow of communications during an emergency is important. In prior SCT exercises, counties bypassed their district emergency coordinators to communicate directly with state staff and the SEOC. As a result, DECs found themselves outside the communications loop, and state staff found themselves overwhelmed by large volumes of incoming traffic. As I've said in previous bulletins, that's a bad thing. To correct this situation in this exercise, here's how communications flow should work. Emergency coordinators need and should be able to communicate with members of their group and with other ECs in their district. ECs also need communications with their district emergency coordinator and send and receive messages to and from to get communications to and from the state level. DECs and state staff and the SEOC need a communications path for message traffic. This path of communications flow ensures that all leadership levels are included in the information exchange. In addition, counties and DECs will have direct access to the Wisconsin Aries Races HFNet. Regarding communications flow, remember, follow all FCC regulations. Use tactical call signs to start a communications exchange, and then use FCC call signs to conclude it. Also remember that all communications and all messages need to include the words, "This is an exercise." The exercise frequencies look like this. DECs and state-level stations will have the Wisconsin Aries Races HFNet frequency with the WECOM network to serve as a backup. DECs will communicate with the groups in their district and on district nets, on HF, and on district repeaters, but not the WECOM network. At the local level, counties will have access to the Wisconsin Aries Races net to pass traffic to the state EOC. Also, local groups can use their local repeaters or simplex to communicate among themselves. Speaking of simplex, this map is taken from the Wisconsin Aries Races Simplex and Emergency Frequencies Plan. This plan establishes several VHF and UHF frequencies for counties to use. The colors on the map identify the frequencies for that county. Take Dane County, for instance. I know this picture is a little fuzzy, but, well, then again, it's Dane County. They're all a little fuzzy out there. All right, now, just kidding. Settle down. Note that Dane County is in a tan color. If you look at the table to the right, you'll see that tan-colored counties are assigned WIV2 and WIU2. And if you look just to the right of that, you'll see the WIV2 and WIU2 frequencies. All SET participants are asked to register on ARES or Aries Connect. For the uninitiated, Aries Connect is a volunteer management system. I know that sounds very bureaucratic, but there are some things that you may want to look up, and local ECs, DECs, and state staff need to know. That's the function of Aries Connect. Each Aries group and ARRL section has its unique page on Aries Connect. Each Aries member can create a user profile, which then connects him or her to their group's ARES Connect page. Using their Aries Connect profile, members can add and update their activities, track group activities, sign up for meetings, training, and exercises. ECs, DECs, and state leaders can track Aries activities statewide. There's an Aries Connect website set up for SET 2019. To reach it, point your web browser to arrl.volunteerhub.com. Create a user profile if you haven't already done so. Sign in on Aries Connect. Navigate to Activities for October 5th and click on SET2019 to register. Here are some general rules for the SET. Of course, follow all FCC rules. Send some message traffic. Use the ARRL radiogram form and the ICS 213 general message form. Use WinLink. Don't forget to check your WinLink inbox for incoming traffic. If possible, activate your county EOC. From there, send a message to the State Emergency Operations Center. Practice operating on emergency power, be it batteries, solar, or generator. Send a message to your EC and your DEC, letting them know when you open and close your station. Also, let your EC or DEC know what you did during the SET. The information is important for SET reports. And remember, amateur radio is a hobby. Along the way, have a little fun. Try a new band, a new mode. Hey, maybe a new radio. For the emergency coordinators among us, before the SET, have an SET training session. Use this training bulletin number 14, SET 2019. Arrange to have an EOC open if you can, and from there be prepared to send some message traffic. Send a press release to local newspapers, radio stations, and television stations. Contact Larry Dubzik, our state PIO. He'd be happy to help you if you ask. Have your group members sign up for the SET on Aries Connect. Then, during the SET, activate your group and your local net using your activation procedures. Send message traffic to your DEC and make sure that incoming messages reach their destinations. After the SET, send a Form A. Submit to ARRL headquarters, SEC Kyle Schaefer, and to me. And for district emergency coordinators, before the SET, coordinate local and district training sessions. Again, use this training bulletin as your training material. Help your ECs with their planning and training if asked. Make sure your district net is ready to be activated. Then during the SET, be sure your district net is on the air. Send a message to your ECs, other DECs, and the state emergency coordinator announcing the opening and the closing of your station and your net. Ensure that message traffic passes through your station, upward to the SEOC and state staff, and downward to the ECs in your district. Use your district net to communicate with your ECs during the SET. Use the Wisconsin Aries Races HF net, with We Come as your backup, to communicate with state staff and the State Emergency Operations Center. After the SET, be sure that you and your county groups in your district on your net managers submit SET Forms A to the ARRL, the SEC, and to me. If you'd like more information on SET 2019, get the SET fact sheet and the Wisconsin Aries Races Simplex and Emergency Frequency Plan available on the Wisconsin Aries Races website. Or, if you prefer, drop me an email at w9rel@arrl.net. Thanks for watching. I hope you found some useful information in this Set 2019 training bulletin. Amateur radio is a marvelous hobby. Make the most of it. 7-3 all. This is W9REL out.